All right, broadcast is live.
Hey, Deyson.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to have you on Founder Design Thinking 21.
I'm happy to be here. Excited.
I'll do a quick intro and then I'll turn it over to you.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
So, I think we met through the LinkedIn Solopreneur Network. I'm Jay Z, and I love consulting companies who are going from 0 to 1 or pre seed. And welcome anyone to schedule time with me at my calendar link below to talk about growing your company and finding the right users to target through design thinking. Everyone, help me welcome Deyson by commenting hi in the chat. And Deyson, tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Deyson Ortiz. I've been in the video industry for over 30 years. I love what I do. Not too long ago, I started helping people build up their video confidence. And it's something that I discovered pretty much accidentally. I discovered that one of the biggest challenges people have is getting comfortable and confident in front of the video camera. So that's what I've been helping people with. I also run an online store that sells animation templates for Final Cut Pro users as well.
Wow, I remember Final Cut Pro. That is hardcore video editing.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
So let's get into it. I think when we met, you told me this fascinating story that you've been doing video production for most of your career, and then you realized from meeting a client, I think it was right, that confidence was actually a bigger barrier. So tell me about that. Was it just one client that kind of aha sparked the insight?
Well, one thing I started doing on LinkedIn is I started asking everybody I connected with what their biggest challenge was when creating videos. So I expected the answers to be, video editing, motion graphics, animation, distribution, the typical questions. And I was just looking for content ideas, things to write about, things to put in my newsletter, in my posts. But it turned out the number one challenge people were having was hitting record on the camera, just clicking record and recording themselves. So I had one client that I really started diving deeper into the challenge, and I discovered that he had no problem doing Zoom calls. Like he was totally okay doing a Zoom conversation, but when he was by himself in front of the camera, he froze up. He started getting arm pains. He started blinking a lot. He just was not comfortable at all. So we started working together, and I helped him overcome that fear, that anxiety, by just doing like a Zoom conversation. I became kind of his producer, director, make sure he looked his best, ask the right questions, trying to take all the worry and questions that are inside his head and take them off the table and just have a conversation with that. And by doing that, I was able to take snippets of our conversation and turn them into little videos. So that's how I started providing this service. And then I've been helping a few people out, and I really like it. I get excited. Actually, when he told me his backstory on how difficult it was to, after our 1 hour conversation, how excited he was and how we got snippets out of it, and he felt so much comfortable. I actually got a little teary-eyed just because he told me how challenging it was at the beginning to where we got to at the end of the conversation. So that's when I realized I had something there. I started telling other people about it, and everybody got excited about it. Everybody quickly caught on to it, and they saw that there is a challenge there. So I think a lot of people can relate to the difficulty of just click and record on their camera.
Yeah, that's a fascinating story. Well, there's so many parts. The first part is how you used LinkedIn to do that user research, and then the second part is the insight that you arrived at. So let's talk about those parts. The first part, did you create a post or did you message people individually? How did you get this answer from people who were nervous? Because people who are nervous usually don't want to tell other people that they're nervous.
Well, anybody that commented, anybody that followed me, any interaction they had with me, I sent them a message, introduced myself, and then I told them straight out, I'm looking for content ideas. I want to write articles to help people. What is the biggest challenge that you have when creating videos? And that's when I just noticed that majority of the answers was recording videos. So just my advice to people, if they're looking for ideas or content ideas to post about, just ask everybody they connect with, what is the challenge they have with X field that you're specialized in? It's a great way to build a connection and dialogue, and it's also a great way to build content ideas.
I see. So some founders will say, I just created a post, I have this idea, would you use it? But that's not what you did. You had
No,
other interactions, and then you took it to private chat in LinkedIn and you asked them, what's the main problem that you have when creating content, or what kind of content do you want to see?
exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly what I did. I did put up a post a few times, but that wasn't as effective as just reaching out directly and just asking them. And also if you just ask them, hey, what challenge do you have with video or whatever, it now looks a little salesy. So if you explain first, I'm looking for articles to write about, that makes people want to help you and be more upfront about what their challenges are.
Yeah, I think you're so good at making people feel comfortable. So anyone in the chat, please, ask Deyson anything. Your biggest fears about public speaking, I'm sure many people have them. So feel free to put them in the chat. But I'll ask the next question. In terms of the impact, then, did your client feel that he could hit record when he wasn't talking to someone else, like when he was just recording himself?
Well, the next meeting we had afterwards, we do the same thing, a Zoom conversation. So I think over time, once he starts seeing himself on camera, once he starts seeing all the responses, because the first video I had him do was tell people about that fear, explain, hey, I'm really nervous. This is hard for me, and just lay it all out there. And I knew that if he put that video up there, he was going to get a lot of feedback, a lot of positive reinforcement, which he did. A lot of people were supporting him. A lot of people were saying, I have the same fears. That's so awesome. I support you. And that got him more pumped up to do more videos. So he wants to start doing this on a monthly basis where we meet once a month. We meet for about an hour. From 1 hour, I can get about 10 different posts, 10 different clips out of that one interview. And I just ask him questions, about his field, things I'm curious about myself. So I play the part of reporter, journalist. So that's how we come up with content.
Wow. So he actually released a video about his fears?
Mm-hmm. And I recommend everybody do that. Just
What?
because, well, the reason is because it's something we know, or something we're feeling. It's a way to make a human connection with other people and let people know that you're human. Even if you're a big time entrepreneur and you're nervous to be in front of the camera, if you share that vulnerability, people are going to connect with you. They're going to be more inspired by you. And I think a great leader is somebody that's willing to do things that scare us. And by doing that and actually telling people, I'm scared, I'm nervous, this is my first time, and these are the future, and this is just to build up consistency and build up my confidence, people are going to support you. They're going to become your cheerleader. So I recommend your first video to talk about that. Let people know. And just by saying it, it reduces that stress because you laid it out in the open.
That's wild. When I was working in big enterprises, there was this whole wave of hashtag authentic leadership. And some of my executives, this was, I think, during one of the hurricanes, the call center that I was working on machine learning models for, the leader of the call center came to a big town hall. He cried about how we were able to delay the deadline for a payment for one of our clients, and how the client was just so grateful because then he was able to pay his employees and make payroll. And so it was a really moving story. But I'd never seen a man cry in a big Fortune 500, and that was kudos to him. A really amazing act. But I'm sure people think, if I'm going to make a video about my fears or my stutter on my podcast, people are going to make fun of me. They're going to troll me anonymously. So what happens after that client of yours made that video?
Well, nobody made fun of him. Everybody commented beautiful things. I was really actually excited to see all the comments. He loved them because people are just like excited for him, and especially since he suffers or still suffers from ADHD, so he had something additional to just having fears. And a lot of people came out saying, I suffer from the same thing. I have the same fears. I have the same worries. So everybody just came together and kind of really pushed him along. And I think there's a lot more good people in the world than we realize. I think the biggest fears we have about people making fun of us, it's very little. And people that do it, what I tell people is I feel bad for them. Those are the people that usually need the most love. They're probably people that are most loneliest. So, but if you really put yourself out there, you'll see that a lot of people are really good out there. There's a lot of nice people and loving people out there.
Yeah, I have, clients, coaching clients who are like, I really want to help this cause, but I'm really scared of public speaking. And so I coach them, talk about the cause, talk about how important it is to you and why you're putting yourself out there when you wouldn't normally do that. And then you're saying on top of that, you can say, and it's so important to me that I'm going to try public speaking or, recording myself on camera, which is like my top fear. So it's like a added commitment to the passion and the cause.
Yes, yes. And also when we do things that are challenging, it just makes us confident in other aspects as well. So if we can take on public speaking is probably one of the most scariest things people can do. And I read somewhere that actually public speaking, more people fear death. Actually, more people fear public speaking over death, which is kind of crazy. And I think speaking on camera, it might be a little bit harder just because there's no instant feedback. You don't see if people are laughing or people are awake or people falling asleep. So you're just talking to the empty space and all your imagination is just going to play tricks on us. So my advice to people, and this is the one thing one thing I think that helped me is when I was younger, I used to be a dancer. I was a professional dancer for many years. And when I used to teach people how to dance, the first lesson I would teach is not to think. And the moment we start thinking when we're dancing, if we start worrying about something or thinking about anything, we're off beat. And the same thing when you're speaking, the moment you start thinking about anything or worrying about anything, we're going to be off message. We're going to be rambling. We're going to be going completely off message. So the first advice I give everybody is don't think, speak from the heart, speak about something we're very comfortable speaking about, and pretend we're talking to family members or friends.
I see. So, but then, I've done national talks or, big auditoriums. There's like a teleprompter, there's a hot light, there are like millions of eyeballs. And so you have to follow the script, like, legally, the sentence is very important, how you say it. So how do you speak from the heart when there's all that complexity behind you?
That's a whole different ball game. I mean, when you start adding teleprompter, scripts, things like that, that's somebody that's more experienced. What I'm trying to help people is people that are just having trouble just putting on the camera and recording themselves. And I recommend to people to get rid of the script, get rid of the teleprompter, just because it's something, it's a craft. Knowing how to read a teleprompter correctly so you don't sound robotic and structured, it's really difficult. And that's why there's people that are paid good money that can do it, or people that have a lot of practice doing it. And also a script can be a little distracting as well. So my advice is just you can have an outline to know what you're going to talk about. Make the videos very short, small little topics, and just slowly build the confidence. Once you get the confidence to record yourself in camera, you feel comfortable, then now we can move on to scripts, then we can move on to teleprompters, now we can do on stage, and then we can become the next Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I think that's possible for everyone, especially people who have a cause that they're really passionate about.
Yes, baby steps.
Let's go back to the beginning. So you're saying a short video
Mm-hmm.
and one topic. So be even more prescriptive, because in all my research on creativity, the constraints really help people. So how short is short, and how deep or, broad should the topic be? Can you give us an example?
I say to start, and not only to start, but I recommend videos under a minute. Just small little bite-sized videos that create curiosity, that make people want to ask you more questions. And those questions can be future videos. So my advice to keep the videos very short, build some curiosity, and videos are really a way to connect with people, to have a way for people to get to know you better, to build some sort of reputation with people at a human level. Man, we can write out contents, we can make images, but there's something about video that's just magical. I mean, we're looking in people's eyes, we're seeing their smiles, we're seeing their facial expressions, their hand expressions, their excitement, their passion. So my advice is just make little videos. It's not really about the content, it's about the delivery, about the way you express yourself, and it's just a way for people to get to know you. So just make those videos very short, sweet, and to the point.
Wow. So, on like Reels and TikTok, 1 minute is the max for a short. And actually, you can say a lot in 1 minute. So, what do you recommend? Is it, I'm interested in X, or I'm really nervous, but hope you'll tune in next time? Like, how much fits in 1 minute?
The first video, like I said, it could be, I'm nervous, I'm scared, this is my name, I'm going to be making future videos. Thank you for watching. Keep it very short. The next video can be, I'm still nervous, I'm still scared, but look, I set up my light, I'm getting a little bit better, I'm getting a little more confident. The next video can now start talking about, my name is Deyson. For over 30 years, I've been making videos, and my goal is to help you as much as possible. And then little by little, start adding more and more videos that touch little topics. The next one can be, here's an experience I had with a client. I had a client that I got a big name client just recently, and the way this client connected with me was because we became really good friends before he was a client. And when they needed to hire somebody, I was the first person they contacted me because they liked hanging out with me. They liked talking to me. So little videos, little tidbits of videos to let people get to know you better. So I just keep them very short, little short topics. When someone asks you a question, that's a new content for a video. And your goal is to make people want to ask more questions. So because those questions are going to create more videos in the future.
That sounds so easy. That sounds like anyone can do it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's one of my mottos, is that I think the hardest things in life is realizing how simple it can really be. We overcomplicate things.
Yeah, and I think for the subject matter experts and leaders out there, you don't have to present your thesis in the first video, right? There are 10 videos that could lead to your unique thought. And that's probably okay. That's even better than hiding it, burying it in minute 40. It's like the 10th video instead of the 40th minute of the single video.
The first videos is all about building confidence. That's really the goal of it. Just getting that comfort level going. Forget the lighting, forget the audio, forget all those things. It's just a matter of getting comfortable in front of the camera. Because you can have the most amazing content, you can have the most amazing lights, the best sounding audio. If there's no confidence there, the message is going to be lost. So it's really about building that confidence. Because once you get that confidence going, there's no stopping you. I mean, we can bring up Tony Robbins again. We can get Tony Robbins, take away the light, take away the audio, but his message is still going to come out strong because he's got that confidence behind him. So my advice to anybody is just do these little short videos, open yourself up, talk about things that you're comfortable talking about, pretend you're at the dining room table talking with your family member, what things come up easily that you can explain. These short little videos, but these videos are just about building the confidence little by little by little.
Yeah, and anyone in the chat, feel free to chat your questions, but you're saying in the beginning you don't have to have all the tech, right? So I have a lot of clients who are like, well, I don't have the right microphone yet, or my lighting is a little dark, and so they stop themselves using those like techie barriers. And so you're saying it's actually nice to have like video too, where you are using a window natural light, and then video 5 you're using like more professional light, like to build up the tech throughout the series.
You're making a story out of it. So you're going to that little story of building yourself, like you're blossoming, you're creating something out of nothing. And I think it's just a great way to bring people, make them part of your journey. And I think also by removing the lights, removing the audio, removing all those things, you're removing those distractions. And if we go back to any big time YouTuber, if we go back to their first videos, they're not great. I mean, their lighting is horrible. Their message is completely different what they're talking about now. But what they did is they did consistency. They showed up every day or every other day and they recorded their videos, kept going, were honest, authentic, entertaining, but they just kept doing it over and over again. And that's really the goal when you first get started, is just being consistent, showing up, improve little by little by little. So when you get to video 10, video 20, you're going to look a lot better. You're going to be a lot confident. And that's when you start really rolling. That's when you start really running with it. And it's going to be just a lot easier to record your videos. And that's really when you start hitting the bigger subjects, the better content, and you start really just rocking and rolling.
Yeah, that sounds much easier than you having to get everything together for your premiere.
And that's more intimidating too. You got the big light, you got the teleprompter, you got the microphone, you got more things to think about. Your message is just going to get lost. Focus on the confidence and just start there.
And why do people like to come on the journey? Why do audiences resonate with some of the nervousness or the fear?
We love a hero story. I mean, all the great movies are all a hero's journey when people face this big challenge, and being fearful of being in front of the public or in front of the camera is something a lot of us can relate to. So it's kind of this hero's journey we're seeing happen in real time. So I think it's just a hero's journey, watching this person just facing their challenges, facing their fears, and overcoming them, and also gives us a chance to learn how they did it. So if we see somebody start with their video and it's not the greatest, but then we see by video 5 it's improved and they're actually explaining the improvement process, we're actually learning something. So it's not just a hero's journey, but it's like a hero's journey with a lesson.
So all the learnings, you're saying, don't hide them. You can talk about them.
Yes, definitely. Share them, tell them, hey, today I'm testing this new microphone. Let me know how it sounds. The 5th video, hey, today I'm using a different light. I think this light's better. I changed my background. That's another thing I recommend. When you're first getting started, get rid of the background, get rid of everything until you build that confidence. You want to just clear the slate and start from scratch and slowly build in. Because I know a lot of people spend a lot of time worried about their background. Should I put a red light or a green light, purple light? Should I put a lamp over there? Should I put a picture frame? What picture frame? Get rid of all that. Right now, what your focus is building confidence, then building the content, building the technology, and adding the background, and then whatever, the sky's the limit.
Background last. I love it.
And actually, if I'm going to go in order, my order would be audio is very important. And I would actually put audio up there with lighting. But it's amazing that there's actually technology now that can actually clean up audio to remove the echo, make the audio sound better. One program I use is Descript, which does a great job of cleaning up audio. Adobe has a great enhancing web app that can clean up the audio. So you can actually get by with just basic audio headphones. You can actually improve the audio a lot with what you got. But I always recommend, if you're going to want to take the steps, it's first audio, because we all are very sensitive with our ears. So if the audio has a lot of echo, a lot of background noise, it can be very distracting for your message. The next thing I put very importantly is lighting. You can take a very poor quality camera, but if you get good lighting, you can improve the camera quality significantly by just getting a better lighting. And then the last thing you want to do is the video camera, if you want to improve on your video camera. And in the background, of course, that'll probably be the last thing on the list. But first is confidence, content, lighting / audio, then camera, then background, and then whatever, glasses, cool glasses.
I started with the glasses. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah,
But have fun. Have
I
fun
didn't
is the
start
important
with the
thing.
audio, and it really became really, really tricky, even with AI filters. Like some of the audio I've had was really bad. So, Jason, you're absolutely right. Like, start with the audio, but have fun. Yeah,
Hmm.
have fun. Start with having fun.
Yes, have fun. We all like to watch people having fun. We all like to see smiles. Focus on smiling too. Smiling is a great way to release tension, not just ourselves, but the person we're talking to. So smile, be happy, have fun, and you know, that's it. I guess have fun.
Well, before we move on to the next question, how do you learn something new that's scary? For me, I'm a very, very social learner. I like to have someone teach me or learn with someone else. I'm a very, very visual learner. I like to see a video instead of reading about it or in addition. So, how about you? How do you tackle something that's kind of new and scary?
I like to break it up into small parts, little bite-sized pieces, and then just focus on every little piece at a time. Also, if there's something new I want to learn, like let's say a new animation technique or something that's really fascinating to me, I like to find who the industry leader,
Mm.
who's the person that's the most impressive with this technology and try to learn from them. And actually, I try to reach out to them and connect with them. It's a lot of artists that we think, oh my gosh, this artist is amazing, he's untouchable. In reality, they're looking for people to talk to because they're bored, on their free time. So there's a lot of people I've reached out to. There's this one editor I reached out to. His name is Josh Bodner. He's an Emmy award winning editor. He's edited almost every commercial we've seen on there. He's amazing, amazing guy. And I just reached out to him, started connecting with him, asking him questions, and then I did an interview with him. So I learned from that there's a lot of artists out there that are just willing to help. And us as artists, we understand how tough our craft can be, and we want to help other people out there. So if you want to learn something that's really challenging, reach out to the person that's top in that industry and ask them questions. You'll be surprised how many want to help you out.
Yeah, even if the question is like, how did you get started? I can't get
Mhm.
started. I feel very blocked. I really want to do this, but I'm stuck. Like, what should I do to get started? I think that's a really great question because we all started somewhere.
Hmm. And you build your network. You're connecting with somebody that can in the future say, hey, I need to hire somebody or I need some help with something, and you're just building a network as well. So you're learning something, you're connecting, and you're opening up potential avenues in the future.
All right. Okay. Awesome. Well, let's move on to the second question, which is the third question. What tools do you use? What tech should beginners consider versus people who are more professional?
As far as tools, when it comes to video editing, I like to recommend to use the simplest tool out there. And for example, for Macintosh, I'll recommend iMovie just because it's a very simple tool to use. You can get started, you can have something edited in a very short amount of time because the software is really designed for people that are novice editors. And if you want to start video editing, find the simplest, easiest to use tool, preferably free. You don't want to spend a lot of money and then later on find out that you don't really like the tool and just get started. I mean, when it comes to video editing, I think a lot of people just complicate it too much. It's really about the story. You have to focus on the story. And sometimes a well laid out story will defeat something that just has crazy animations and crazy graphics. I mean, there's movies now that are still popular that were made over 50 years ago, but it's just because they had a really good story. So my advice with video editing is to find the most simplest tool out there, focus on building a good story, and just practice with it. As far as animation, one of my favorite tools is Blender. It's an open source animation software. The reason I love it is because it's open source, so it's free. It has a huge community. So if you type in Blender 3D tutorial, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of tutorials out there. It can do everything from modeling, animation, and that's advanced stuff like simulations. You can even do video editing if you want. It's not the best editor, but you can do it if you really wanted to. It does compositing. It's a really powerful tool. Actually, a lot of big visual effects houses actually uses Blender just because it's really a powerful tool. And as far as another simple tool for video editing that I like is Descript. It's also that one's paid, but it's a great tool just to edit based on text. So if you can edit text content, you can edit your video. I always am a big fan of Final Cut Pro. That's the next step from iMovie. You can actually export your iMovie projects to Final Cut Pro. It's a very simple tool. It's not CPU intensive, so you can pretty much run it on almost any laptop. Of course, it's a Macintosh tool, but you can pretty much run it on any laptop. Very user friendly. And those are my favorite tools that I like to use. I also like Figma for design. It's a fun little tool for doing design, for SketchUps, I use it for a lot of my post images that I create.
Mm.
And those are the ones that come to my mind off the top of my head that I really enjoy using a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, I checked out Descript. I think I'm going to migrate over. Right now, my tech stack is LinkedIn Live, so I don't have to do any editing because I think it's a huge time suck. And then Andy was on the podcast about Adobe Express. So there's a lot of video editing on their old mobile app, and then the new beta that they're going to release with more video editings, and then AI for like transcription. But I think Descript will replace all of that. So what is Vectornator?
Vectornator, that's a cool little tool. They just changed their name. I forgot the new name. They changed it. But it's a vector design tool, kind of like Illustrator in a way. And they have a free version of it. I just liked it when I was using it. It was a free tool, very powerful. The stuff that people are creating in it is very impressive. And I'm a big fan of free or open source tools. So I like Vectornator because it was free, because it's something that I can recommend to somebody and they could get started right away and start designing and creating things. So I'm a big fan of free or almost free or low cost or open source.
And how do you use Riverside?
Riverside is kind of like we're doing now. The only difference is that your video will be recorded locally. My video will be recorded locally. So if there's a bandwidth issue, the internet goes off for a few seconds, the videos are always going to look pristine because they're recorded locally. So after our interview, we hit stop, the video uploads, and then as an editor, now I have access to the video clips. And the beauty about it is that the video clips are separate. So when I have to edit it, it makes it just a lot easier to edit, especially if someone talks over somebody. I can grab the section of the video that's the important part and just be able to edit with it. So I like it just because you get really high quality video. You can also stream from it, which I haven't done. But as far as interviewing, doing the things I do with people, as far as talking to them and guiding them, it's a great tool because I'm talking to them, and after the interview, I can just grab their video, and it just makes it a lot easier to edit because I'm not in there. It's just their video, just their audio. So I can just dump it into the script, find the content I like, edit it down to the clips that I need, and make a template, and I'm done.
Awesome. I'm also looking at some AI tools that take the best parts of the video out so that it edits for you. And then I just found this AI tool, which hasn't worked yet, but it creates a quiz of those clips and asks the audience, like, is this true? Or what would you think the right answer is? So more to come. I think then we're closing out to the end. What questions do you have for this community, the founderdesignThinking.com community?
I always like to ask where people get their creative inspirations, where, because you get so many different answers. Everybody gets their inspirations from so many different places. So I always like to ask creatives where they get their design inspirations. I also like to ask them what their favorite tools are. Because you never know, it might be a tool I haven't gotten to play with yet.
Yeah, how should people answer that question? Should they get in touch at your website or on LinkedIn?
Yes, you can come to my website, Deyson.com, Deyson.com. Also LinkedIn. I've been using LinkedIn a lot. I've been really enjoying LinkedIn. You can find me there, Deyson Ortiz. Do a search. You'll see me. I'm the guy that's thumbs up on the profile picture. You can also find me on Twitter, also Deyson Ortiz. And yeah, contact me, reach out to me, ask me any questions, or share your knowledge. I love to learn new things.
All right. Well, please get in touch with Deyson. And if there are any last questions, please post them in the chat right here. I think uh, I'm going to ask one last question since we have a little time.
Mm.
If you're doing professional, keynoting and public speaking, are you, I mean, the way I've done it is I record a video of my keynote every day for like a month. And, that's how I memorize my script and I become more natural on stage and the story becomes like a part of my memory, but it's super time consuming, right? Like, not everyone has that type of time. So what do you recommend when you're going more pro? Are you just spending all your time being pro, or is there a way to speed up that learning curve?
Everybody's different. I mean, I've seen people that don't do any prep work at all. They might just do a few slides just to have something on screen and they just speak what they're comfortable about. And I like that. I mean, you know your stuff. I mean, if you have a family member or anybody come up and ask you questions, you will just talk. So I think, yeah, you can practice, make pretty designs, keep them very simple. But I think the most important thing and the most important thing to focus on is to speak about something that you're comfortable speaking about, something you really, really know well, and that comes across to people. And I think don't overthink it either. But like I said, everybody's different. Everybody has different comfort levels. Some people do require to practice it over and over and over and over again. Some people just get up there and just start talking, have a good time, throw some jokes out there, and they just go with it. So it really depends on the person.
I always thought those people were lying because I've talked to other keynotes and they're like, oh, I just went up there. I told my story. I was like, no, that's not possible. But you're saying they probably tell a story that they've told many, many times, and that is their signature story. So they've essentially practiced it all their life. They already know it by heart and it's authentic. So it's not like they're accomplishing some talking points or trying to like launch a product in a specific way. The origin story is probably the easiest story, and you're recommending going with that one first.
Hmm.
Okay.
And also make room for question and answers. That does fill up a lot of time, especially if you have something fascinating people want to learn about. I think sometimes I've seen people do presentations that are a little too long and not enough room for questions and answers, which I think question and answer is really an important part of a presentation just because you're helping people answer questions, you're helping them out, and you're also getting more ideas for future presentations.
I see. The Q&A is where you're getting that product discovery or innovation stream.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I've seen people do Q&A at the beginning and just go as far as long as possible and then do the presentation afterwards. So I guess it really depends on the person, how well known they are, and how well they know their subject matter.
Wait, how does that work? They just open for questions from the
Yeah, they
very
just open the
beginning?
questions and I saw one presenter do it and he did really well and just came up. It's like, I just want to start off and I just want to make sure that I talk about everything that's needed. So if anybody has questions about animation or 3D animation or about what I do, but of course, this is somebody everybody already knew about this person. So a lot of people already had questions. So I think he already knew that when he went up there, that people knew who he was. He was a very well respected person in the industry. So the questions came a lot easier.
I see. So he took each question and answered it immediately, or he took all the questions and then throughout his talk answered them later?
No, he took the answer. He answered them right there, just to make sure. I guess what he wanted to do is make sure that he answered everybody's questions that they had on top of mind and get that out of the way. Make sure you didn't miss it.
Yeah, I think that's great because usually, videos have drop off like third minute, right? People are already dropping off. So if you are opening it up for audience interaction, people will stay for that and get their questions answered. So,
Yeah, some people say, hey, before we get started, is there any questions anybody has? I just want to make sure, I cover everything.
okay. Well, I know there are shy people in the audience who are not asking questions, so I'm sure you're going to ask them to Deyson one-on-one on LinkedIn or through his website. So please, please do. I really encourage everyone to tell your story and get your voice out there. Thanks,
Yes.
Deyson. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, Jay-Z. I had a blast. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No, thank
I
you
hope I
for
was
all.
able to help people. That's my biggest goal.
You just make it sound so simple and easy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.